part of the hip hop culture, you gotta speak up.
We live in a world where women of color's voices are marginalized.
What we see now as the hip hop culture,
That's not hip hop culture.
it's the hip hop industry, right? It's the rap game.
It's not all about, you know what I'm saying, popping a titty out and dropping it like it's hot. You know what I'm saying? It's much bigger than that, you know what I'm saying? It's much deeper than that.
The men in the industry and the people who run it can't have women of color who are powerful, who are LGBT, who are smart, who are political.
We're in a state of emergency. It is your responsibility as a woman to fight for your rights.
Hip hop is here to stay. Throw your hands in the air if you're rocking with me. Franchise a city from around the way and free access.
Hi, my name is Tere.
My name is Kathleen Adams. And
How do we meet? It was divine intervention. I truly believe that.
well, I've been to a lot of hip hop shows in the past. They were all male dominated. I was basically frustrated with the lack of women having a stage.
Yeah, it's difficult for me because I am a woman in the hip hop industry, and no matter what, you're still put in a position where you feel uncomfortable. And growing up, being a young girl that saw Queen Latifah, my idea of hip hop was like power to the people, UNITY, don't call me a bitch. We're talking about unemployment. We're talking about the conditions of oppression. Our brothers and sisters are the ones that created hip hop because of their conditions.
People still ask what's the role of women in hip hop. And a lot of times people say to sing or to be the sidekick or to be dancing in somebody's video, and they don't realize that all across the world there are tons of female MCs, graffiti artists, breakdancers, DJs, and mothers of some of the greatest hip hop minds on the planet, men and women.
I feel like it's important that we take hip hop back to the root where it comes from as a voice of the people, oppressed people, which are women too.
And I was like, yo, it's crazy. I've been thinking about this. How about we do like a Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen, because Latina and Black women and just women of color, we always meet in the kitchen, and in the kitchen is where we talk about our issues.
So we created Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen, the soup kitchen for the hip hop soul.
Yes,
which
for the
is
hip hop soul.
What's up? My name is Patty Dukes. I'm here representing for Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen. I can't wait. It's gonna be dope. Patty Dukes, La Bruja, Queen, God is blessed, rock so la Tere. And it's free? Are you stupid? It's a recession break.
I never been a shy type, been a shy, you read the song, been a mind right. If you're thinking I'ma fail, get your mind right. I'm a shy city champ in the limelight. I ain't never been a shy type, been a shy, you read the song, been a mind right. If you're thinking I'ma fail, get your mind right. I'm a shy
We
city
have
champ.
been blessed with young women, 10 years old to 83-year-old women that feel that they're a part of hip hop and have used it.
Female MCs, B-girls, DJs,
Anybody that feels that they're a part of this hip hop culture and need a platform.
and to reclaim hip hop as well. And so that's what we really created.
Hayla,
Ah,
how are you?
what up? It's number 4.
4 is your magic number, right?
I am so happy today. You look beautiful.
Oh, you look beautiful too. Hi from
Thank
New
you.
York.
Live from Chicago. Hey.
And welcome to everyone to Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen, the 4th part of our series called In Her Shoes. And this evening, our theme is called Capturing Our Stories. And we've got a great lineup. Before we get into that, I just want to go a little bit further into why we're doing In Her Shoes this series. So you all have been rocking with us hopefully for a long time. So hopefully this is not new information, but if it is, here we go. So basically, Tere and I co-founded Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen in 2007. We really wanted to set out to create a safe space that would allow for our individual and collective experiences to be heard and recognized. You know, women really congregate in the kitchen to talk about issues and ideas. And we know that, you know, operating in the world of hip hop, women are definitely in a state of emergency. So we wanted to create a safe space to be able to capture the voices of our community and have that safe space for young women and girls to express themselves. However, we've definitely been in some challenging times, and that's why we're virtual this year. So we created this series called In Her Shoes. If you've joined us previously, you've seen that we've rocked with some amazing women who've told us their stories, how they got to where they're at in life, and their artistry and creativity. So this is definitely a monthly series dedicated to sisters who've been with us forever, and they've nurtured our sisterhood in so many ways. And we're so happy to be able to highlight their journey in hip hop and learn the steps that they've taken to walk with confidence and grit. So that's what we are at this point in our lives. We're In Her Shoes, this series. So welcome tonight to this. And on that note, we want to go into our amazing artist, Toofly. So let's bring up that montage of Toofly as I go through her bio because she's done such amazing work.
Real quick. I'm so happy Toofly's with us. Toofly, we love you. She's a legend.
So Toofly is definitely a legend in this space. She's amazing. Check out her work. That's going to be playing in the montage. So an Ecuadorian New York City artist, she goes by Maria Toofly Castillo, and she's recognized for her hard and fluid style and signature love warrior character. One of the few women in the art world to step into a male-dominated graffiti scene in the early 90s, she helped pave the way for others who shortly after followed in her footsteps. A designer, social entrepreneur, and founder of the Ladies Love Project, as well as the first ever Women's Street Art Festival in Quito, Ecuador, called Warm We Paint. Independent collectives that produce arts and culture events that focus on giving urban artists and entrepreneurs the platform to grow. Toofly's work has been published in books like Graffiti Women, Outdoor Gallery, and magazines like Juxtapose and Latina. She's featured in the Street Heroines documentary launching this year, and her paintings have showcased with Deech Projects, Wynwood Walls, and Bronx Museum of Art. Staying true to her roots, she continues to inspire, educate, and empower women and youth around the world. So welcome Toofly. Come on and say hi to us real quick.
Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm on.
We're so happy to have you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
And up next, we have Marthalicia. So Marthalicia is amazing.
Yes.
She's born and raised in New York City and is skilled in many art disciplines such as drawing, sculpting, painting, and creating large murals, and is always expanding in new mediums. Her current area of art dialogue is based on educating the harmony between animals and humans in many unique presentations. Encouraged by faith to pursue the art form, Marthalicia entered LaGuardia High School of Performance in the Arts, and upon graduating high school, she enlisted in the Army National Guard. She also enrolled in SUNY New Paltz and received her BFA in Fine Arts. So come on, Marthalicia, and say hi real quick.
Marthalicia.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Hi.
Thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you. I love to be a part of this and I'm so excited to hear more.
Yay.
Thanks so much. And last but not least, we have Elena Mamarazzi Marrero. So Elena Mamarazzi Marrero was born in El Barrio and raised in the Fort Greene projects in Brooklyn. For Mamarazzi, photography has always been in her life. She was inspired by her mother, who was a family photographer and documented their family life and events. Her first camera was a Polaroid Swinger that she got in the 60s. After Mamarazzi retired from being a public school teacher, photography took over her life to the point where she earned her nickname. One night, she was at Camaradas at a Bomba event, and the leader of the group, Yerba Buena, got on the microphone and shouted out, "Hey, that's the paparazzi, it's here," or "the paparazzi's here." He pointed to her and she answered back, "No, I'm the Mamarazzi." So that's how she got her nickname and that's how it was born. Also, on the professional side, her work has been exhibited in many galleries and restaurants in Manhattan, the Bronx, and Brooklyn. She has also taught a photography course to students in an after-school program in El Barrio. Additionally, she self-published a photography documentary book called The 50th Anniversary of the Puerto Rican Day Parade in New York City. It was a limited edition and sold out. She's been rocking with the Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen family for years and is a treasured member of the team. So welcome, Mamarazzi. Come on camera.
Hi, Mamarazzi. Hey, Fabuela. Hey, Fabuela.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
We're so excited to have you.
Yes.
And all the rest of the ladies, Toofly and Marthalicia, come back on camera.
Jump on. Beautiful. Look at those faces. Oh, man. So there's just been so much happening in the world. And so you all taking the time out to show up. It's like it's healing, you know. We don't know what people are going through right now, and there's definitely folks that whether they are on right now or they'll jump on later for some reason, right? Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen is some medicine. It brings medicine. So thank you for being the medicine women of the right now and showing up and being present. So happy. So we're gonna get into these questions real quick. I'm gonna throw out a question and then you guys can each take a turn answering the questions. And then there's gonna be a second part where I'm gonna ask you individual questions. So that'll be after the group session. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay, so the first question is, what is your favorite hip hop song?
For me, have always been Lords of the Underground, the Sheep Rocker. And I used to rock out with my mother with that song. And that's how I used to give her medicine. So I had to just dance around. And from there on, I used that as a theme song. I guess because of that alone, that's why I like it.
That's deep. There's a deeper meaning. Wow.
My favorite is Rapper's Delight, Sugar Hill Gang, believe it or not. That was my favorite all time.
We heard that you're a performer of that track.
Yes, I did perform it with the track with my own lyrics. And one day you'll get to hear it.
Wait, can you tell us a story real quick about how you came to write your own lyrics to the song?
Well, I belong to the Full Circle Ensemble poetry group, and we had to perform. And I always said, I'm not a poet, and they were like, yes, you are, you can write it. So I decided that instead of just writing a poem, I would use the track from the Rapper's Delight and write my own poem. So instead of their lyrics, I would say, I am the Mamarazzi and here to say, and I don't remember it all, but I have it done on paper, coming soon.
Yeah. I love it.
And I dressed up in all the 90s gear and everything.
Well, next time we're live with Mama Sip Up Kitchen, you have to definitely get on stage and perform.
Sign me up.
All right.
Awesome. I have so many favorite songs, but I really want to encompass the idea that the 90s era was, the most amazing different songs by different musicians and R&B groups as well, and how they collaborated. And so around that time, every single song that came out that had a beat was literally like the heartbeat of our lives. Everything that we did, from like dressing, going to school, taking the train, in my case, tagging up on my way to go home or coming back to school, it was just every single song was the story of our lives at that time. And so I want to big up like the 90s era hip hop in general, plus R&B as well.
I love that. I agree. And I can't imagine living in New York in the 90s, right? I'm like a straight Chicagoan, so I was over here. And so the East Coast, very, very influential, but we also had like this West Coast energy, and then we had the Dirty South. So we were experiencing a lot of the Dirty South also. Good times. Good times. Underground, good times. A lot of underground stuff going on. But definitely hip hop was thriving. I don't know, Kathleen, you were like, what, 10?
In the 90s? No, I was fine. Yeah, like 10. 87, baby, 87%.
We love it. We love it. So the next question is, how were you as a child and what was your community like?
Okay, I'll start.
Sure.
Okay, so as a kid, so I'm first generation immigrant parents coming to New York City in the 1985, so late 80s, and moving into a neighborhood in Corona, Queens, New York, with different immigrant families, Italians, Black and Latino, Indian, again, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, just everybody. I had friends in school that were of all races, of all colors. And so this became my world as a kid, just, growing up in the neighborhood and seeing different families get together and celebrate their foods, their music. You heard all kinds of different things happening. And my grandparents moved here in the 70s, and little by little, they brought their kids over, one by one, because at that time they were allowing a lot more immigrant people to come through much easier. And so, they had a little house in Corona, Queens. And I had a cousin that came with my mom and my other aunt. And we had a little patio, gated up as much as possible to keep us safe. And so growing up was, you know, in Queens. It was nice.
That's one of the things about New York is that that's where I feel like I became a global citizen, right? Like Chicago is one of the most segregated cities in the world. And so it was pretty much Boricuas and Black folk in my neighborhood. Mexicans, you had to go to a whole other hood to experience. Greek had their own, everybody had their own place. And you really didn't go to those places. So when I moved to New York in 2004, that's where I was like, oh my goodness, this is delicious. It's like, I became like a real anthropologist, right? In spirit. It was like, it's amazing.
Same way with Cleveland, I have to say. It's very segregated, but also not culturally diverse. It's very, you know, Caucasian or African-American. So I feel like I really got to meet different cultures in the world once I moved to New York, which was about 15, 16 years ago.
For sure.
Well, I grew up in Fort Greene Projects in Brooklyn, and very multicultural. At that time, it was we moved there in the 1950. So I was there from the 50s and the 60s. And then in the 60s, it changed a little bit. But when I was younger, we went to school with all kinds of kids. A lot of the kids were from Navy families because the projects was right next to the Brooklyn Navy Yard. So we would have kids from all over the United States. They would come stay a few years when the parent was stationed there, and then they would leave. So we had kids from different states, and we'd play in the courtyards. We'd play, we'd ride this, bicycles, metal skates with the skate key and everything, you know, you know anything about that. We'd go sleigh riding on cardboard sometimes, whatever we found at Fort Greene Park. And when we were teenagers, we joined the youth groups from a church. So we went on trips, and then, you know, that's how our life was. It was really nice. It was a great life in the projects. No complaints.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up. A lot of folk talk about like their church groups and how that helped them like explore other parts of the city. That was how they kind of were able to navigate outside of their immediate neighborhood into like other places. That's what's up.
Okay, probably my turn now. So, born and raised in Harlem. And during my early years, my family moved to Massachusetts for a few years, and don't remember much. I do remember the love from my family there. Then we moved to the Dominican Republic, and we stayed there for 2 years. So this must have been my elementary school era. And returning back to Harlem was in the time of 1988. I'm 10 years old by that time. And each of these experiences, there were different type of moods and feeling, but the overall, I guess, theme has been really embraced by love through family. And in the Dominican Republic was beautiful because I was close to nature, and it was a different type of feeling. But coming here was a little bit of a culture shock. During the 80s, I think we all know in New York City, for what I witnessed, a lot of wonderful people developed a lot of hardening of their souls and their feelings because of the drug epidemic and a lot of displacements. And so one of the first things I've noticed was not having a real home per se, but I noticed how through imagination and family, all things was made possible. But in the outside, commuting, I was witnessing a lot of the gang-oriented things that was a little, I didn't understand it, you know. And what kept me realigned has been creating and doodling and art. So overall, the experiences has been the cultivation of my personality, which then became a shy person, due to the variation of wonderful thing to then the volume of it being easier for me to feel safe, but to the volume of my personality slowly became more muted, more because I felt safer that way. But eventually, I'm still, in healing process and the many different levels as there is, here in the city, But overall, everything is really good for you, good for me, to evolve, pretty much. But yeah, living, been good.
That's a perfect segue. Thank you for sharing that, because that, it colors the way you all have talked about New York. It gives color to those people that have never lived there. Like Kathleen and I, we got to live there, in our 20s. She was 17, 18, but 20s, right? And 30s. And so that piece we didn't get. So thank you for coloring in the book for us, right? And through your own stories. And I know that the audience will enjoy that, because everyone dreams of going to New York, and everyone dreams of having a New York experience. And that's why we feel so blessed at Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen, that we were like taken in and loved on, and given an opportunity to partake in creating those kind of memories and having those experiences. A little late in the game, but and that's been very helpful for our personal development. Kathleen, I could speak for you, right?
Oh, 100%. I definitely feel like you guys are all family to La and I. Like, we don't have that much, I myself don't have that much immediate family here in New York. So I always know I could call one of you ladies near or far to kick it, to talk, to hang, whatever. So it feels good that, like, through this community that we've built, we've really created family at the same time.
Definitely.
And put down some roots here in New York City.
For sure. And so the next question is, how old were you when you knew your spirit was calling you to create the way that you do? Like, that you knew you were like, oh, I'm gonna do this. So how old were you? Where were you? Can you tell us a little bit about that story? Sure.
Yeah, I was 57 years old when I not started taking pictures, because I used to do it as a young girl, following my mother's footsteps, kind of, taking pictures everywhere, these little cheap cameras. But I knew it when I retired as a teacher, and I was 57. And I met, I don't know if anybody knows him from New York, Jamie Emmerich.
Oh, I remember him.
Yeah, may he rest in peace. Jamie, I met him at a film festival. And he was telling me about all the happenings in El Barrio. He was saying, have you been here? Have you been to Camaradas? No, I haven't. What's going on? He says, meet me at a Carlitos Cafe on Lexington Avenue. He said, meet me over there it was Friday or Saturday night. They had poetry. So I met him over there, and I was like introduced to this poetry scene. From there, that wasn't the end of the night. We went to another place and another place. Hey, meet me tomorrow night, Saturday night. Okay, I met him. And he's the one that introduced me to all the spots in El Barrio, the art, the culture, the music, everything. So then, and I saw photographers around. I said, wow, I'm going to document this, because it's fun. I like being there and meeting a lot of people. So another friend of mine took me to buy a camera. I didn't even know how to buy a camera. Okay, so he took me to buy a camera, and then I started going around with Jamie, following him everywhere he went. And then I went on my own, and I started visiting all those spots and taking pictures. And that's when I knew. And then there was, first there was MySpace, of course. Yeah, MySpace, putting pictures up there on Flickr. But when Facebook came around, I started putting pictures up on Facebook. And I just wanted everybody to see what I saw. What they couldn't see, I wanted them to see what I saw. So I would just throw pictures up there. And I got so many friends on Facebook because they wanted to see their pictures. So that's the reason why where can I see my pictures? Oh, just here's my card, whatever. And I got like a zillion friends only because they wanted to see themselves in Facebook. So I would give it to them, and then everybody would share the pictures, and I didn't mind sharing my pictures. I didn't mind at all. Use it for whatever you want. Just give me photo credit. That's all I ask.
For sure.
Photo by Mamarazzi. And that's when I knew, and that's what I've been doing since. In fact, I started in 2007, I think, 2006, somewhere around there.
And you've been rocking with us.
And I've been, when I was invited to volunteer for Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen, I was like, wow, that's like, to me, that was big time. Big time. Going backstage, meeting the artists, and I mean, I was walking around proudly with my camera, photographing everybody. So
it's always so great looking at your pictures and just seeing the evolution of people throughout the years. Or like, I remember, so my grandfather passed away a couple of years ago. Mamarazzi always had the best pictures of my family. And so I remember like the day my grandfather passed away, I reached out to you and I said, hey, can you pull some great pictures? Like you always like, we don't really have that many family pictures, but you're probably one of the only photographers who have captured my family in all these years.
Every
so
year.
It was great, yeah.
Red carpet, lined them up.
Yep.
Red carpet. We moved into a red carpet and everything, Mamarazzi. She was like, girl, you need a red carpet. Okay, well, that's Thank you for your vision. Thank you for your vision, and thank you for loving on us so hard and like being so just gracious and excited and bringing that enthusiasm into the space. It's critical.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you.
Mamarazzi rocks. So for me, when I felt my spirit was calling, which is so mystical, I love that. I love that you guys actually phrase that question that way, because I don't know what it is, but we get it. We know exactly what you're talking about. And I almost feel like it's hard to explain it in words, because I think many artists feel this way. It could be musicians, dancers, all kinds of creative souls that touch on something that is very hard to put into words. You just feel it. You feel like you have a calling. You feel like there's something bigger that's guiding you, that's inside you, that maybe just transformed or is using your body as a vessel to be able to go do this work. And this work is about caring and having love for this bigger idea to be spread, like this energy that needs to just be come out of you from some other place, and it needs to touch people. And by touching people at any stage in their life, to inspire them to be able to dream or pursue something that they like, kind of like a guide. And so happened to me, or I have felt that way in different parts of as I was growing up, because as a child, of course, I was drawn to drawing and, you know, being a quiet kid and that kind of thing. But throughout life, you start noticing that you are getting more of the self-esteem or confidence from something that you're doing that is guiding you to be good at something, some kind of skill. And, you know, you're still just kind of learning and going about the routes of it all. And then you get to a point in your life as you get older that you start seeing like, wow, my work is able to touch people, change people's lives. Like it's bigger than me. And that kind of wonderful magic that happens that artists have the ability to do is why we're all here and why we're all connected. And we're able as a community to be able to spread that, you know, it's like an infectious, like a really good infectious thing that we're doing for others. And it needs to happen more, you know, bring down the hate, bring down the negativity. You know, I know that I come from a world or a culture that is embedded or stigmatized, that's seen as like a negative, dark, gritty, you know, graffiti on the walls, messing up, you know, neighborhoods. But there's another side to that. And so, but yeah, basically, I just wanted to share that, you know, answer your question about that.
Thank you. Really quickly, Toofly. Just hearing that and like the flow of the flow of the artist and understanding that like as an MC, as a person who's a creative, I totally get that. It was really difficult for me to pinpoint when I was like, aha, right? And I think it was really other people telling me, I think you're good at that. I think you're really, really good at that. And I'm like, really? Well, So it's like other people being sent to kind of like affirm and confirm what you can. So it's cool to hear that. So just so you know, Toofly, you changed the game for Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen with being our graphic designer, right? Our graphic artist. And today, while I was getting dressed, I was like, I gotta find Toofly colors. How did I do?
I'm sorry, I'm unmuting. I love it. I love it. It's so fucking cool. Oh, I'm sorry if I cursed. I love it.
And I was like, espérate, I gotta find Toofly. I gotta find Toofly. So just know that your color schemes and all of that is so delicious and it's so inviting and it really helps people feel more self-expressed and it gives them the okay to be more self-expressed. So thank you for that.
That was nice. I felt that love there.
Aww.
In all the directions. That was beautiful. I wanted to bring a Toofly outfit too, but I couldn't find it. I got blue second best.
Whatever.
No.
Oh,
I
man.
love it.
It's very beautiful because I can see how all of us influence are interweaving with one another's, like spikes or trigger. And I think it's beautiful how, you hosting the Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen can, you can broadcast everybody's stories in particular. But yes, I want to intervene now with my particular one, if that's okay.
Of course.
Okay, like exactly what Toofly was saying earlier, which is true. I didn't know in my journey where was the pinpoint of when I was the aha, I needed that. But I do remember, like even when you were saying as well, that a lot of people are sent in your life to, how do you say, move you in a direction that you're supposed to be in. So I remember, I think I was going to high school and I needed to figure out what type of high school I needed to be. And I realized the best, oh, get your blanket. The best part of my, of how I knew art was for me, or I had the power, was the, then I realized I was really good at art, making, creating. I didn't see anything other than animals or becoming a veterinarian. So I chose either veterinarian or an artist. And I figured that being an artist was, I can't say easiest, but I felt that my love was much more, it was more open. It was more open into exploring and sharing it. So at that time, on my early teens, that's when I realized I didn't foresee that art, that I was doing it for others, like creating to provide an impact. I just knew that I gotta do something with it. And again, I think that media, social media provided an amplifier for me, or for all of us, in regards to sharing it. So I was able to utilize, as was said before, MySpace was one of the first platforms. Eventually, then again, I started sharing in Facebook and then in other mediums. And at the same time, I didn't understand, how people were reacting to it. It wasn't like something that I was investing is their emotion. It was more like, I exist here too, and I would love to share what my insights. In regards to the animal series, I was profound to see how Earth and our ancestry had a lot of connection. So in my way, I really wanted to amplify or speak with the animals because I felt I was calling to that. Now, I don't know what or how that led me to what I am now, but it was one of the, in 2009 was pretty much where I was meshing that type of storyline. But yeah, hopefully that was clear enough for you guys to understand the, I guess the direction I was going in. But
yeah, it sounds like, those enlightenment periods and how we just go through these different phases and sometimes you're just like called to this one thing And so I did, like, for me, I was like called into this hip hop thing. I was a salsera. I didn't know that my voice was going to be able to be a part of a soundtrack to a whole movement of like a whole immigrations or human rights movement at a particular, I didn't know that. Like you said, I didn't think about doing it particularly for an impact. I just kind of like flowed into it. Then I became enlightened within that space and was able to like direct it and say, okay, we got to go this way for right now. So that's a really cool, especially like animals, talking about animals, like that's just.
What I want to add to the animal part, which maybe we all are witnessing, in the year 2009, there was an earthquake in Japan where I didn't understand, I guess in our timeline, I never witnessed, since media have become more available, started looking at the videos. And one of the things that I saw and witnessed was the tremendous silence, especially during the inland or even outside, where all the animals just moved away from where the trauma is supposed to hit. And then I was thinking and seeing, how are they more aware? And then we call ourselves more mightier than them. And then how all the cows used to move up the hill. And then you start seeing the waves disappear and then crash into it. And it told me that they are more connected to Mother Nature. And then we kind of are, we're not the same, but we still can learn so much from them. And from there, I started investigating the different type of cultures around the world that they kind of knew this language that Mother Nature have a power, a force, and the animals know this. And it's part of our language as well, but we have gone so far away. And from my reasoning, and it started from there, witnessing videos of all the animals just, and not just in Japan. Then they hit in South America, where the same scenario happened, where all the animals just decided to move away from a trauma, and then you have a sinkhole, and you have an earthquake. And I'm like, I was in awe by how united they were with nature, and there I started my journey.
That's really cool, because that goes exactly into the next piece, that is like, when did you recognize, at what moment did you recognize that you were an artivist, right? And so I don't know if that was the specific moment for you, but when did you connect the art with the activism piece, right? Because being a part of Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen is artivist, being an artivist. And I know you all have done it in your own ways, in your own work. So at what moment did you recognize? Was there something that happened? And I don't know if that was the one for you, but sounds pretty powerful.
For me, it did. Again, I didn't know that I had an opportunity to project this as a necessity for others to be aware, but it was for me to be cataloging my observation through canvas, and then also the oil spills and why we're destroying the land. But physically being actually aware of activism has been actually last year in 2020, when Black Lives Matter had made an impact, and I was requested to do work for a collaborative in downtown Manhattan in a mural on the floor. But that's just me being requested. But being an activist out of my own heart, out of my own spirit, came out of more like again, the same thing, dialoguing and cataloging what I'm seeing, because my work has more of a conversation piece and more than I can use my words per se. But I guess in the timeline alone, the activism has been also segueing into my work throughout all this time.
Yep, pretty dope.
Thank you.
Dope. Thank you for bringing that up. I love animals.
Thanks. All right.
Toofly, Mamarazzi.
Oh, okay. Well, I started when I was photographing, since I was going to all different kinds of events. I also went to a lot of protests to photograph, and also any kind of activism events. whether it be related to music, bomba music, salsa music, any kind of music, poetry. I would attend those events supposedly to take pictures and to share them. But going there, I learned more than I knew before, because growing up in the projects, and I had kids, I raised my kids, I was a teacher. I wasn't aware of so much until I started photographing. Then I started learning more and more about things going on, like in Vieques. You hear about it here and there, but attending the events and the protests, I started learning more about Vieques and the Navy and the pollution in the Bronx. And through my photography, that's how I learned more and more about it. And then I started spreading the word and also posting my photographs on Facebook. And, with a little explanation of what was going on, would make people want to know more also by looking at my photographs. Where was this? What happened? And they would read more about it and learn also.
So you were an influencer.
Mm-hmm.
So love you.
So for me, I feel that there was this space and time that you saw injustices all over the place from you when you were a kid until today, where there's so many issues going on. And I do feel that artists are called to find solutions, designers, artists, creative people, right? And so we're always thinking, like, how do we make that better for ourselves? Because we always have to be, in our right space so that we can give to others. And then help our family, like help our mother, help our grandmother. There's always starts at home with your family, and you do see them going through it, through the hard times, like the kind of jobs they had to do to pay the bills, the kind of things that they have to do to kind of provide a better future for you. And so it comes from that space. Like, I want to find solutions so that my family is not going through pain, or my friends are not going through pain. And I also don't want to continue or grow up in a situation where, it's going to be hard. You're living in a huge opportunity city. And so let's find these solutions. Let's make it work. So I don't know if that's a trait that I do, but I'm always like, okay, if we're going to put this event together, like, what do we need to do? We need to organize, come together, communicate. If there's something happening, like when we did the collective, the unity, we had a lot of issues with the world changing, the trash, or like pollution, the poisoning of our water, poisoning of our food, which is a huge, huge reason why I've made many, many changes health-wise. And there's just all these things, and you keep growing up, and there's just one thing after another, there's so many issues, so many problems. And now with the internet, we just know about it like all the time. It's very stressful. And as an artist, you want to help so much, and you get overwhelmed. But, little by little, we do what we can. We help where we can and try to stay on route. But yes, we could come up with solutions. There are solutions. My grandmother used to say, the only thing that there's no solution to is death, because that's just, you can't come back to life, or some people do, but once you're gone, you're gone. And so there's solutions to everything. We need the help, and the fight for the help. I'm just saying, it's just a struggle, but we do what we can. And we're there, and that's what makes us take action, go and do stuff, and we feel good about it because we're able to help others. And even if there was like no money involved, you're just like human being. It's like in our nature to help each other. Like, if something goes wrong, you want to help. But because of the world that we're living in today, we're becoming so desensitized and uncaring, and it was just, we have to keep fighting for that. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Toofly, when I think of those of us that are children of people who migrated to the United States, and I think about whether it was translation that we had to do, we as the children of, right, being the ones that translate, being the ones that have to read the paperwork and advocate for our entire families. People sometimes forget that all those little things add up to us being these folk that are driven to make changes, because it's just becomes, it clicks, right? It just becomes a part of who we are, and we're like advocating in whatever way we can. And so when I think about us as children or first generation born here, stuff like that, I give thanks to our parents that were courageous enough to take that risk, right? My great grandmother, she used to say, every time you take a risk, you break a million chains. Right? That's Mama Matea. And so every time you take a risk, you break a million chains. And I'm like, looking at us right now, I'm so proud. I'm so proud because we are solutions oriented. We are always like diving and trying to find a new way, right? That's how Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen was born, was because we're like, we got to find a solution to women being in this hip hop game and feeling like crap, right? And being treated like garbage, straight up. So yeah, that piece around first generation or being born in the US and having to be that person. So that goes to the next piece. As these artists, as these women who are, you get to sit at these tables. You found a way to sit at these tables, and these tables have, you know, it's misogyny and all the things you could think of that when it comes to men, the patriarchy, and encountering that. How have you found the seat? How have you made a seat at the table? Tony Blackman, I believe it was Tony Blackman. She says she just makes her own table. She just, was it Tony? I think it was Tony. It was like, I stopped doing it.
I think it was Tony, yeah.
I think it was Tony. I stopped doing that. I just make my own table. Right? So how have you gotten to be in the space that you're at and sit at these tables, and how do you manage that? How do you do it?
Well, actually, I didn't have a hard time. And I think it was because I was a bit older than, you know, the average. I mean, the photographers, women photographers, I didn't really see that many around. I know there were many around, but in where I was, in the circles that I was traveling in, there really weren't that many. So, and me being an older person, I got a lot of respect. I did. I got a lot of respect, and, you know, I would come in and the guys, and they would, you know, talk to me, and the photographers, you know, one of them took me to get my new camera. I asked him, could you, you know, I don't even know the first thing to get out, you know, to buy a camera. And he took me down to 34th Street, and he helped me pick a camera out. And then we went and had lunch, and that was it. So I really didn't have a hard time with that. But I do remember one time I was at the Puerto Rican Day Parade, and there were like photographers all over the place. And again, I don't remember seeing any women photographers. I mean, they were probably there, but I don't remember. But when the parade started, I also had to learn how to walk backwards and take pictures, like run up ahead. And me being an older person, okay?
Wow.
Run up ahead and turn around and walk backwards to take pictures. Well, when the parade started, all of a sudden I had my spot. I think I was the only one in the middle, right in the middle. I said, I have a great spot for the beginning of the parade. Then here comes the parade closer and closer. All these guys, all these men, all ages, photographers, they just surrounded me, and they're pushing and they're pushing and they're shoving because they wanted to get that shot that I wanted to get also. So I was kind of being crushed and pushed around while I was trying to walk backwards. But I did get some good shots because I published my book.
No, that's right. It was meant for you.
Yep. That's the only time I felt like I was being shoved and pushed. But I don't know if it was because I was a woman or they just wanted to get their shot. You know, the perfect shots.
Got it.
I will add on to that. I think that's Mamarazzi, being an elder, you know what I mean? It's, you're in that space where people need to respect you more because, you know, they are much younger than you. And so they're going to be able to be like, no, you are an elder, we respect you. For us coming up as young teenagers for me, for example, in a graffiti male-dominated culture, it was a situation that was tough because you felt like an object, for example, like when we needed to paint walls, like at public spaces, you started to just feel like there's so many guys and they're all staring at you. And I've said this before in some of my videos, and you feel uncomfortable because you want to be there just as an equal, but you're not, you know, physically, and you're just not. And so, but these type of feelings happen, right? And also you run into situations where the guys in the graffiti culture are much tougher and underground and, you know, outlaws, and you're coming in there trying to be peace, trying to be friendly, trying to like paint. Because I didn't come from, you know, wanting to be hardcore, having beef and starting, you know, going over people's artwork. Like that was not the place where I was coming from. And so I entered a world that was dark and gritty to a space where we started to create where things would be more welcoming to families, to younger people, and also creating space where more women could come into the scene and paint and feel comfortable around each other and then at some point get to the area where we're all equal, we're all painting and we're all chill and cool. So it was like a transformation time, and I had to bear a lot of comments or attacks, you know, emotional, at times maybe some physical stuff that had to happen just so that I could break in and be able to maybe now call the shots and be like, I'm going to create a wall and invite women, and we're going to be peace, and we could dress whatever we want, and we don't have to be feeling like an object. And also the artwork that we want to create, sorry. But yes, I just feel like we're different. It's cool over time now we've leveled the playing fields, but when we were coming up, it was very different. It was very tough. The things that we had to go through, it's kind of like things that we wear now, like within us, that the experiences that made us who we are build our character. But yeah, I mean, shit, it'd be great to like come in and be respected and just seen as an equal, but no, it's a grind through it all.
Definitely a grind. And thank you for being so connected and creating those spaces that allow for so many more graffiti artists, women, to come in and do their thing and share their story, right? Get that out, have that therapy. Thank you for creating those safe spaces, and also where children can come, right, and feel safe in those spaces. So thank you for that. All over the world, by the way. So
This is my turn now. Well, I want to also direct this to Toofly, because I think I didn't know there were opportunities such as being able to be creative on walls. And I want to thank Toofly for being one of many women that face all those challenges. And I applaud you, because I didn't witness none of that before. I mean, I grew up with two brothers, and also joining the military at the same time, I had to kind of find security within myself, but I didn't see none of that being of a use in the art world up until I witnessed you and maybe other female artists that they had to deal with a lot of the variation of ignorance. And so I congratulate you for being in the public, and Mamarazzi also for being a photographer and having to deal with the variation of people of different energy levels, that, you know, the domineering and whatnot. And you guys pioneered one of my, you know, me as included, people to look up to. I look up to both of you guys for doing such great, you know, presence in the art world. In regards for me and the art world, I guess the confident level for me merged together in the public, but I still was doing work at home. So I felt a certain type of comfort level, yet not experience a whole lot of the harassment, not until later on in my life that I started doing murals. So I understand a little bit of the variation of challenges from peers and mostly men. But I didn't get much more of that difficulties. I didn't experience much of that. But when it came down to learning tools, when it came down to learning how to use a spray can per se, from maybe the male counterpart, I got a whole lot of different reaction. I can't say it wasn't loving, but it was always, and it wasn't because I was a girl. It was more like, are you gonna tag upon me? Are you gonna write upon, are you gonna, I guess, I don't know. That was my first encounter. So, not my first, but my encounter was more like, are you gonna be better than me? Are you gonna take more walls from me? And I think I was confused because I witnessed that, but I also witnessed like one of the things that Toofly was doing, which was unity. So I was conflicted by the various platforms, those that are welcome and share and expose others to others. And then there were other ones that had fear that, oh, well, if you're gonna get more recognized, and I'm not gonna show you how to use a switch caps, for example. I'm not gonna show you this because, whatever. I sensed a few of those, and I now get it. Now I get it. But I hope there is in the near future more opportunities where everybody can understand the root as to why we create in the public forum. It's not because I'm better than you or not. It's more like there is a need to find. I find the wall as a place to recite or express different things. And I also use canvases and art and paper to do the very same thing, which is an opportunity to say what you need to say. Now that we are in this stage in our lives where there's a global pandemic, or there's a sense of, you can see more injustice because of the media. I think the men and women of the creative field are trying to find some type of bridges. And I'm hoping that becomes a reality more and more as we move into the future. So yeah, I guess that's my personal experience with males and in the art world and creativeness. But again, thank you all for providing this platform, because I'm one out of many creative that don't know how to jump in, and I just simply ask questions at each step I make. But thank you guys, ladies, for doing what you guys are doing.
Thank you. And you're a part of all of it. And there's so much joy to hear your voice, because, right, like you said, you're a little bit more shy, right? And so it's been really great to hear your voice. No, actually, like hear your voice, to hear Toofly's voice, to hear Mamarazzi's voice, because we just look at your stuff, right? And to actually put sound, like to put a voice to it, is a game changer. So I love your voices. So thankful that we can document this, that we found the time to be able to document your stories. This is so important for so many reasons. Our time is actually up, pero I want to send your families in particular a lot of love and a lot of healing. And I want to say I'm so proud of you all for taking the risk, right? And shifting out of what may be the norm of our families and adding so much flavor to this collective. And also, Mamarazzi, your brother is on.
I know.
And he said that he loved you earlier. And he also wants you to tell us about your press pass.
Okay. I wasn't around long enough to get a real press pass, because you have to go through a lot of changes. And so a friend of mine said, oh, I can make you one. I said, fine. So I gave him a photograph of myself. Okay. And he put on there like special press pass, New York City, approved police, this whole thing. It was so big. It took my whole chest. It was a gigantic press pass. It was so fake. But that's how I got into the Puerto Rican Day Parade, by that fake press pass. And also the naming of the post office in El Barrio with for Tito Puente. I got in that I got in the post office with that gigantic fake press pass, and I got to photograph the whole event. And I
Hey,
said,
so look at what we be having to do just to be in certain spaces. We be navigating the whole system. Man, that's funny. And it's sad though. At the same time, it's like, man, I'm sorry you had to go through that, right? Like, dang. But you got the pictures.
I got the pictures, and I still have the press pass.
That's classic. You'll have to send us a picture of what that press pass looks like, because maybe we might want to go undercover as well.
Oh God.
Thank you so much for capturing our experience, right? Every day. Thank you for joining us from where you're at. You are loved. You are more than enough. Your contributions to Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen are everything. We would not be where we are without you. And we want to honor you and keep honoring you, and just know that our love is it's really raw, and it's from a really deep space. And so many lives have changed because you chose to like believe in us and be family with us. So thank you.
Yes, thank you ladies so much for joining us this evening. And thank you everyone who's watching virtually, live, or at a recorded time. It's sad that tonight is our last night of our spring virtual series, but that doesn't mean that we don't have goodies coming up. We're looking forward to expanding towards a hybrid model, possibly starting this fall. But in terms of other amazing programming that you all can look forward to that Hostess is bringing you, stay tuned, don't log off, check out this video that Hostess is about to bring you. And again, thank you guys, or thank you ladies, and we'll see you all hopefully this fall.
Bendiciones.
I love you, Mario.